Questions for reflection. Among the many resources given to the church is the assistance of angels. There's a Latin and a Greek word for angel. Both are found in the ancient translations of the Hebrew and Christian scriptures. They are variations of a more ancient word found in the Hebrew text of the Bible. It's literally translated as the one going or the one sent. Angels go for God. They carry His word and initiate His actions. We could also call them messengers and ministers. An angel reaches out to Moses in our first reading, leading this great man of God into an encounter with God, whose light is revealed in the burning bush. God tells this great prophet of His mercy for His people Israel. In the encounter, He also reveals who He is in a linguistic phrase, which is subject to many reflections over the millennia. I am who I am. The Israelite would not even utter or write that name of fear or better understand a holy reverence for God. The place where the encounter takes place is so holy that Moses takes off his shoes. He's then commissioned, sent, to speak to the people of Israel of this God of the encounter. The God revealed to the people of Israel is the same God proclaimed by Christians as having come to us in the person of Jesus Christ. This God, whose name could not even be pronounced, came among us as the second person of the Blessed Trinity. The Word, through whom the whole universe was created, took upon Himself our human nature in the incarnation of Jesus the Christ. He was given a name by an angel, Jesus, meaning the one who saves His people. We can encounter Him always through prayer, in the holy places set aside for worship, in the tabernacles of churches around the whole world, and in a special and profound way at the altar when the holy sacrifice of the Mass is offered. Angels still guide us to that encounter. Are we looking for them? Do we frequent the holy places where they so often point? When was the last time you stopped in a church to visit the Lord as He is revealed to us in the holy tabernacle? The Apostle Paul makes reference to the encounters the people of Israel had with the Lord. In this passage, we are given as our second reading at today's Holy Mass. He's making a point of great importance to the Corinthians and to us. He's reminding all believers that encountering the Lord must lead to a change of life on our part. He writes of the Israelites, and I quote, "Now all these things happened to them by way of example, and they were described in writing to be a lesson for us, to whom it has fallen to live in the last days of the ages." He continues, "Everyone, no matter how firmly he thinks he is standing, must be careful he does not fall." We are nearly halfway through the 40 days of Lent. Have we gone to confession? In this somber, serious teaching of Jesus given to us in the gospel appointed for today's Mass, the point is made even clearer. In the parable, every one of us is this fig tree. Are we bearing the fruits of the kingdom? Our life on this earth is a classroom, a field of encountering the Lord, intended to change us. Time is the opportunity for the Christian to bear that fruit that remains to which Jesus referred. And I quote His words, "It was not you who chose me, but I who chose you and appointed you to go and bear fruit that will remain, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, He may give to you. This I command you, love one another." That's John 15. We decide whether we use time for the bearing of good fruit or allow it to become a tyrant who frightens us as we fruitlessly try to resist His inevitable claim on our perceived youth. This act of choosing rightly, daily, helps us to develop a disposition, a way of living that involves the proper exercise of our human freedom, aided by grace. When time is perceived as a gift from God and welcomed as an opportunity for bearing the fruits of love and holiness, we learn to receive it in love and perceive it as a field of choice and an environment for holiness. We choose to fill our lives with love and pour ourselves out for the God of love. When we live this kind of life, Jesus can find a home within us from which he can continue his redemptive mission in time. The ancients were fond of a Latin phrase, carpe diem, which literally means seize the day. For we who are living in communion in Christ Jesus, that phrase can take on a whole new meaning. We always journey toward the day of the Lord, when he will return as king. We should seize that day as the reference point for all things. Almost 2,000 years ago, the ancient Greek writer Seneca wrote, and I quote, "It is not that we have so little time, but that we have wasted so much of it." St. Paul wrote to Greek Christians centuries later in Ephesus these words, "Look carefully then how you walk, not as unwise men and women, but as wise, making the most of the time." That's in Ephesians 5, verse 15 and the following. As we consider the timeline of God's unfolding plan, the redemption of the whole cosmos, the God who gives and governs time invites us to rededicate ourselves to living differently. We are to live as though time really does matter. We are invited by grace to give ourselves away for others, to imitate the one who gave himself for the entire human race. We are invited to pour ourselves out as Jesus did for us. If we live life this way, when we face him on that final day, we will do so with our arms full of gifts born in time. These gifts will have paved the way for eternity. Will the heavenly vine dresser find fruit when he examines us?